We are pleased to welcome the new Xbox One S console.
I felt that the Microsoft conference was a little bit more geared towards tech.
Yeah, it was a lot of hardware announcements.
Which I'm a little bit 50-50 on. Part of me feels like they're really trying to adapt that Apple like business model, like new version every year type of bullshit.
I feel like a lot of consoles are doing that. Even the PlayStation's coming out with that Neo or whatever.
Microsoft came right out of the gate and they started with their Xbox One S or the Slim. It's $300. It's coming out in August. It has a slightly new controller, nothing too crazy. It has like textured back and everything like that, and it has HDR functionality, so that's cool. It also does 4K, which is nice if you wanted to upgrade a little bit, not go crazy. So that's cool.
I think it's made mostly to pair with the Oculus.
Cool. What's funny about it too is they completely like abandoned like the Kinect functionality because it doesn't have a Kinect port. Instead, you have to buy a separate adapter. So I feel like Microsoft like took the loss, like they took the L, like they know, like you said, George, that they kind of, not that they fucked up, because like it's not that the like Xbox is selling, it's just not as selling as well as PlayStation, so it kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, with consoles, I feel like it's like with anything else, politics, anything. There's like teams, and people feel like a loyalty to something, but it's also that if your friends don't get on board with one or the other.
Right.
Like the first friend to buy a PS4
dictated whatever
is gonna obviously like bias you when you go to purchase a game console to what console you get.
The next thing they announced was this to me is just how are we gonna get more money to like make up for all our losses, and this is just like, okay, custom controllers. You can go online, you can fully customize your controller. You can, for $80 you get like a million different color options to do, and then for $90 you get to engrave it. This is a cool like Christmas idea or gift idea, I guess, for kids, but parents are probably just like, fuck you, Microsoft, fuck you. You know, like, why are you doing this to us? I think their biggest announcement of the whole conference for Microsoft was the DRM free Play Anywhere, which is another business thing, Andrew, that I think like fucking changes the game, because now you can buy a game for anything and play it anywhere, which is awesome. If you buy a game on your PC, you can play it on Xbox One, you can play it on the Slim, you can play it on the Scorpio. So before we talk about the games that they announced, we will talk about the Scorpio. They basically announced that last, and it's going to be a high-end console, and they didn't announce price or anything like that. They did talk about some specs, and what we know so far, it's going to have 6 teraflops of GPU power, which is like fucking like insane.
Teraflops.
I think the PS4 is at 4 now, so that just gives you an idea of the increase.
6 teraflops has 8 CPU cores.
And
I
mean the 1080 has 9. So.
It's just gonna be that's like crazy for a console.
Yeah, no, yeah.
So now they're using this rhetoric of like beyond generations, basically. So I think the days of us waiting for like 4 or 5 years for a new console that's going to be like a slight upgrade, or that's going to be outdated very quickly, I think those days are done. But that's dictated by this move. I don't think Sony anticipated this, and I think that's why they pulled the Neo from E3. Because if you remember a couple days before, and I think we talked about it like last episode, like Sony came out like a few days before E3 and was like, yeah, we're not announcing Neo. But I feel like they got wind of like what Xbox was doing, and they were like, oh no, we got to totally like
I think it's like an arms race. I think that they were going to announce it because the Neo is supposed to come out way sooner than the Scorpio.
Right.
But when it comes out, that'll be pretty powerful. But PS4's been really, Sony in general has been really like specific about how it's gonna work. Like they're like, we're not gonna alienate people that had the old PS4. You know what I mean? Like it'll run a little better and it'll support VR a little better. But there's nothing that they're gonna make that's gonna be exclusive to the Neo.
That means a lot to me because it's like
it means a lot to a lot of people. I think they're really careful about how they're gonna market it because they don't want to fuck it up.
Yeah,
talking about Xbox.
No, I'm talking about Sony.
Oh, you think Xbox is the opposite?
I think Xbox, the only reason you would make a console that's that much more powerful is that there's going to be games that are made for that are going to utilize that power over.
Yeah.
No, I think what they did was I think they basically took a look at the landscape that's currently going on with these like console wars, and they were just like, all right, like we've been playing catch up now since like these consoles have been released with like software updates and this and that and the other thing, and they've listened to like people of their complaints about like what they slipped with this console generation. They were just like, all right, fuck it, like we're just gonna completely do something different. And now they have the upper hand because now it's up to Sony to fucking compete and catch up with them as far as like technology and tech.
Yeah, but does that mean their Xbox One games are going to have to be like downgraded to?
No, I think
like,
I think what's going to happen is I think you're going to see probably, and this is all speculation. I think there's going to be a much larger gap between games. I think games are going to take longer to develop, but I think they're going to be developed more like PC, where you can just change the spec levels based on your computer. Like you have recommended, you have high end, you have ultra, and all that shit. I think games are going to be like that now, but for console. Like if you have an Xbox One, you'll just set the game to like lower settings, and then if you have the crazy Xbox One, you'll just set it to the higher settings. But I think games will take longer to develop that way, and it's going to be a marketing nightmare because whenever they show a game, they're going to have to make sure they show it properly and show it for all three to get different consoles and this and that and the other thing. And it's like, I think it's going to be a big headache. For us, the gamers, I think it's going to be better